What's going on YouTube? It's that black dude and I am back and I have shut up. I have been a busy man. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to touch on and I just kind of stayed out of it because I know, let me unplug that. Because I know a lot of it has hit mainstream already, so I'm pretty sure you have heard it already. Ain't too much need of me talking about it. Oh man. But a lot of stuff I didn't want to touch on because, well, I'm still waiting on some stuff to play out before I do any story on it. Like, will Trump fire Mueller? I think he should. Might as well get rid of the bastard. There was no crime. None. Zip, not a none. He should have never even been given clearance to go look for one because that's not how the FBI works. There has to be a crime that has been committed before they go out and investigate. Not go out and look for one. Yes, they should fire him. But he probably won't because of all that political stuff. Then you got the Austin bomber who is dead. You got Stormy Daniels, Daniel Stormy, whatever this hooker is that Trump, you know, supposedly screwed way back before he was president, like anybody cares. Oh, well, yeah, shouldn't have voted for him because, look, he slept with a porn star. I don't care. Care less. If I was a billionaire, I would have been doing the same thing. If I was a thousandaire, I'd probably be doing the same thing if I had the resources and funds. Then you got after the House had already said there was no collusion found, said, you know what, we're ending our investigation, we're done with this crap. 2 years, all these people we interviewed and there's nothing at all. We're done with it. They said, well, you know what, maybe we'll look into what he used to do with the Russians, like before he became president. Bunch of crap, and it's really pissing me off, but thank God the American people are seeing through this charade. Anyways, on a sadder note, something that really matters is Toys R Us. Originally, Toys R Us announced that they were going to be closing down a bunch of its locations because the economy was tough. They weren't getting much business. Amazon was killing them. I'm sure Walmart was killing them, and probably Target too. Target is high with their toys, but they sell other stuff just like everybody else. And they recently announced that they're going to close down all of its locations, which means they're going to be 33,000 people out of jobs. Thank goodness the job market is booming because they can all go find other jobs. Well, probably not all of them will, but you know, it sucks. Now, from an economic standpoint, I can understand why Toys R Us is going out of business. And the reason being is because, well, pretty much Toys R Us, they mostly sell toys. Not only that, their toys are expensive. And when dollars and cents matter, when you're on a budget, you can go get the same toy at Walmart. You gotta probably go get it at Walmart along with your cleaning supplies. And if it's a super Walmart, you're probably gonna go ahead and get your bananas, because that's supposedly the #1 thing Walmart sells is bananas. You're gonna get your bananas and a gallon of milk and some cereal while you're at it, and not just some toys. And this is something that I kind of figured out when I was younger. And this is, I mean younger as in when I started buying my own toys. I started seeing the price differences because I'd go there specifically for my Hot Wheels. And I noticed that You know, whereas Walmart was 92 cents at the time for Hot Wheels, well, they were $1 at Toys R Us. And 6 months later, they'd have those same cars on the shelf, while Walmart would have like a new supply of stuff. And they would, you know, they would clear out at Walmart because you got people in there with kids, but these people are there to handle business, and their kid just might walk by and be like, Mom, can I have this? Or Dad, can I have that? The parent would be like, I'll go ahead and get you one. Not many people were just going in a store specifically for toys, and they needed to expand into other things, which they did. They had the clothing store, but not many people were going into a store specifically for kids' clothing, which was kind of another mistake. They sold video games and video game systems, but that wasn't really enough to save it. Especially when you had stores like GameStop, which you can go and get a used system for cheaper. So the prices were a bit higher, even with the video games. Now, there was, you know, things like Toys R Us exclusives, things that you could only get there. Again, but that wasn't enough to save it. Now let's rewind a bit more. Back when I was a little one, there weren't very many Toys R Us around. Toys R Us, they still had the big brown rooftops. In Toys R Us, you would walk in the store and there would be like straight aisles, straight back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. None of those goofy zigzag patterns here, zigzag there. None of that. Just straight rows, forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. Back and forth. Not here and there and there and this big square over. It wasn't confusing layout at all. You really couldn't hardly get lost in the store. And the layout was simple. And they had a lot of quality stuff. And I didn't deal with the dolls and all of that. It was remote control cars, slot car tracks, and Hot Wheels. And you go in there, and they'd have big aisles of RC cars. The RC cars on this one side all the way up and down, and then you'd have the expensive ones, or the really good ones would be in a glass case, out the box displayed. They would be showed off. And you'd have your Hot Wheels behind you, your Matchbox. You'd have your slot cars too. Not on the same side. I think the slot cars were actually on a different aisle with like the train sets. But they'd have the biggest, hugest slot car tracks that you could, and of course the cheap ones too. They'd have good quality stuff that people wanted when they go into the toy store. The video game aisle. They'd have the box art, and they'd have the little tags that you grab. You'd have your PlayStation section. What else they have back then? PlayStation, I guess your Sega Saturn, your Super Nintendo, all of that. Your whole row full of stuff. The tag is right under the game that you want. You pull your tag, you go to the front, and they got it. They pull it out for you. They had the little sample games too, every so often. But it was just a nice layout. Then they changed it up to all that zigzag crap. They made it confusing. Tried to make it into a maze. Tried to make it into, I don't know, but I hated it. I hated the new layout. They put the little purple logo up there, and they started expanding like crazy, which is kind of the point I'm getting at. See, when you wanted toys the parents knew where to go. It's Christmas time. Let's go to Toys R Us. And it's only one of them in this area. Just one. So we're gonna go there and buy up some stuff. When they started expanding, that was like a Toys R Us here. And since I'm here in Houston, giving away my location, they ended up with another one on like Westheimer. There was another one on Greens Point. And there was like 4 or 5 different more. Those I never even went to, but there were too many of them. Toys R Us here, 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 and here. Kids R Us popping up. Just R Us is just everywhere, and you had too many of them. When you had that one central store over there by the Astrodome, it was lit. Man, you would walk in there pretty much any time of the year, and there will be people bumping butts trying to get up and down those aisles. Because that was the central location to go get your stuff. So Toys R Us, over the years, after they expanded, they started getting the cheap China toys. Started getting more employees. When you get more employees, you have more overhead, so you have to sell more stuff. And technology was changing. A lot of kids were staying in the house, so they wanted more games. They wanted more tech. They wanted less dolls, less Hot Wheels, less action figures. And with these computers and stuff like that, which Toys R Us wasn't really selling a bunch of laptops and stuff like that. And when they were selling little stuff like that, they were high, man. You could go to Walmart and pick up the same stuff a lot cheaper, like I keep saying. And internet came along, and you can order the stuff online. You don't have to drive all over town to these different Toys R Us's to see who has it. And people start going into those stores less and less and less. If they would have kept that one central location, it's fine if people have to back order things. They would have kept coming. They would have kept coming to you guys, but they didn't. But as Toys R Us grew, there was another toy store that pretty much disappeared. And this is where some good news came in. There was another kind of a smaller toy store, but they were a superstar when it came to toys, especially imported toys. KB Toy Store. You can find them in malls. The thing about KB Toy Store, they didn't have any standalone stores in some big parking lot somewhere. Nope, they had to be inside of a mall. That guaranteed there weren't too many KB Toy stores because not every mall had one. And KB Toy Store went out of business. The KB Toy Store wasn't exactly super cheap either. See, they were inside of a mall where things are kind of pricey. But they would have stuff imported from overseas. Now, as a kid, you didn't know you was getting good stuff sometimes. Like, instead of the Tyco Fast Tracks, you would get the Tayo Fast Tracks or the Tayo Night Tracks or whatever they were actually called. You just think it was just a cheap China brand knockoff. They were getting the good stuff. And I would get a lot of stuff straight over from Japan that you didn't even know unless you were a collector or that you were in the know. The Hot Wheels section, they always have something cool in the Hot Wheels section. I got some Dark Rider series cars from the Hot Wheels section that I never knew we even had. One of my F40s. It's a gold one. It's got a black stripe on the hood. I think it says Centimiglia or something on the side of it. I can't remember. I remember getting out from KB Toys. Treasure Hunt series. I mean, all kind of imported stuff that you just could not get. And they had video games too. Now I give it to Toys R Us. My first PlayStation game, I got it from Toys R Us. I got it, it was actually X-Men vs. Street Fighter. That was my first PlayStation game. KB Toys. One of the games that I played the most of growing up. Well, I was pretty much high school, but one of the games that I played the most on Genesis was Outrunners with an S, not Outrun. I actually really don't like that game all that much. It's alright, but Outrunners, I love that game. I got that from the KB Toy Store, $24.99 for the Genesis. They would have good sales on their games. KB Toys. The first time that I saw Dragon Ball Z Keyring, it was the Great Saiyaman. I didn't even know anything about the Great Saiyaman. I didn't know anything about Majin Buu or anything like that. I barely knew who Goku and Vegeta was at that time because they kept showing it on Channel 39. And right when Raccoon started beating the crap out of Vegeta, they started starting it over again because they ran out of episodes to buy. So KB Toys, since Toys R Us has come back, they said that they are, well, since Toys R Us is going out of business, KB said they coming back. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take the kids to Toys R Us before they shut down. I was trying to avoid it because the economical side of me don't feel bad, but the memories that I had going to Toys R Us as a kid, seeing all that awesome stuff in there, you know, my kids have never experienced it on that scale. They think they're going to experience it, but they're going to get a generic version of what I experienced. But before Toys R Us closes down, I'm going to go ahead and drag them there. And just like everybody else who never took their kids to Toys R Us, order all their stuff online. I ordered the RC cars and stuff online. The Hot Wheels, I grab them at Walmart because I need to get their snacks and stuff for the school. See how that works? I need to get their snacks and stuff for school. So we're at Walmart, Hot Wheels, boom, there you go. RC cars, order them online because I can look at them on YouTube and see which ones are the good ones. And I know that Toys R Us is not going to sell Shaolin Toys or whatever, however you pronounce that, or WL Toys. I know they're not going to sell that brand. They're going to sell the crappy New Bright because all those employees that they needed to pay, all that overhead, all those buildings, all those locations that they had, and all the employees, all the benefits that they had to pay out, they're going to order the cheap stuff and sell it to you for a higher price. And New Bright Toys, I mean, they're not terrible, but if I'm going to pay $50, $60, $70 for an RC car, I'm going to make darn sure I get a good one, even if it is for an 8. Even if it is for an 8-year-old. And those people were telling them to get over, sorry. I'm going to make sure I get them a good car, even if it is for an 8-year-old. And a 7-year-old. I'll make sure they get them a car that's going to be rough and tough, be fast, so that they won't, you know, won't get bored. Something that they can't outrun on feet. Something they can't outwalk. Something that's going to thrill them. Toys R Us don't have it. Action figures, maybe when they get older, man. I've seen what they do with action figures. I let their mama get them. I've let other people get them. And I've seen exactly what happened to those action figures after a day or so. I've seen what happened to my action figures after they've gotten a hold of them and snuck them and played with them for 10 minutes. And then I would have to meticulously glue them back together. I've seen that. Action figures, they're not ready for it yet. At least not no Toys R Us action figures, not for them to tear up in 10 minutes after I paid $20 for one. See what I mean about price? Anyways, part 2 will be coming once I get to Toys R Us. Trying to get through this here traffic.